Kim and Cookie.
Ring, ring. Ring, ring. Say hello, Cookie.
Kimmy, welcome home.
Welcome.
Kimmy's been gone. Kimmy left me and went to Mardi Gras.
It was a Mardi party. It definitely was.
Yeah, you look like you was having fun on your snap.
I had a blast. Thank God I have a voice right now for the podcast because from all the screaming and just yelling and just sheer joy, I'm just like...
Sheer joy?
Just pure joy. Like it was, I don't know, it's something about New Orleans. And this time we actually did some different stuff. We walked down, like we did like an art walk and that kind of stuff too. So it was really good to like just get out there, see the culture. Of course we ate great. We watched so this is our first time doing like Fat Tuesday and those kind of parades.
Yeah.
So we did them with like locals too. We have a friend who's like a local, and of course I guess there's a Mobile, New Orleans type of Mardi Gras beef. Who knew? Alabama, Auburn, Roll Tide. But so we like had some friends who were from Mobile, so we went to different places down there, and it was just really cool to just see New Orleans for like from a local point of view, eat really well, and just have a blast. I'm just so obsessed with New Orleans because it's like, to me, New Orleans is like Atlanta with intentional culture, and so.
That's interesting. What does intentional culture mean?
I think Atlanta's culture is just derived kind of from what's going on. I do think Atlanta has culture. I love my city. But I think with New Orleans, like it's so evident all the different places that colonized it. And so with that, when you colonize something, you're intentionally infusing yourself in it because you want you to be law, right? And so there's so much intentional like French and Dutch and like there's so much intentional culture there that it's just freaking beautiful. I mean, the streets have all like French names. The food has like a little bit of Dutch inspiration. It's a freaking blast. Everything is legal.
Yeah.
Like
Everything.
It seemed like a lot is going on. It felt like New Amsterdam. They call Denver New Amsterdam of the West, but I really feel like it's New Orleans because I don't know what's not down in New Orleans. I mean, at this point, I was walking next to a cop who took a shot with us, and I know he was still at work because he was in his uniform.
But I mean, he need a shot. If anybody
I
need
mean,
a
it was
shot.
cool, but we were with a cup in hand, so it was just like
It's the police.
it's just kind of like foreign, and that kind of like being able to do whatever the fuck you want to has this like taboo to it, right? Like that's what people like Amsterdam and those places because there's this kind of taboo of like, should I be doing this? Should I not? People are like, that's the biggest thing about Denver. It's like, oh, people are like able to smoke or people are like drinking on the street. You're just walking down the street. Like there's some people, there's some places on Bourbon Street that are like where there's like some prostitution, obvious things going on. Like, and everybody's just out there just kind of living. And you're like, so nobody gonna tell me no? So
Right.
that mystique is also like, it's good. But I feel like also like Vegas, you got a good 2 days and then
You're done.
I need to go home. I
It's
actually need rules.
It's funny because I feel like when things are allowed, it actually makes it a lot less exciting. It's like nobody's tripping.
Yeah.
Every time somebody comes here to visit me from another place where marijuana is not legal, they're always like, oh my God, you guys just... So I think I saw a dude walking with Starbucks and a blunt. I'm like, yeah, because that's okay. Nobody's tripping.
What's crazy is I don't smoke. I live here and I do not smoke. And
No, I don't smoke either.
feel no need to. Like,
Well, you don't need to, but I mean, it's available if you wanted to.
It is, but
How
I
do you
guess-
feel about that? So it's just funny. I think when something is available, it's like it makes it a lot less maybe appealing even sometimes. But when it's not available, it's like, well, I won't so.
well, that's what I think the taboo nature of like not understanding why you're being told no makes the no more enticing than anything else. Because it's just like, yeah, like, but I didn't smoke in Georgia like that. So I guess it doesn't count for me in that way because I'm just not a smoker, period. But nobody actually told me not to smoke. My parents were like, say no to weed, say no to cigarettes. None of that I've done. Because it's just like, I just didn't feel the need to because it was so prevalent around me. Like, even though it was illegal in Georgia, everybody was smoking.
Yeah.
And so I didn't feel like it was something I needed to do. I don't feel like anything I need to do because everybody's doing it. But I also feel like I didn't need to try it because I knew it didn't feel like a scarcity to me. I didn't feel like I was never going to be able to try it one day. So I just was like, I'll be late for that, you know?
What's funny is there was this study that stated that people who have tried certain things there's like some type of a correlation with them being smarter. Who have tried? Obviously they're not necessarily addicts. That's not smart. But but like you'll talk to certain people, and those people will tend to have those intelligent people will tend to have tried different risque things like
Exactly. Well, there is an element of risk and like success, right? We know that.
crack.
But I always wonder, how is there new crackheads? Like, No one is like,
new crackhead.
we all have seen New Jack City. We all have seen crackheads in New York. We have all seen crackheads. So how do you have new crackheads? It's like,
You know
at this
why?
point, we know how this goes. Like,
You know why there's new crackheads? Because it's like, I think, okay, it's funny. So I'm a nurse, you know that. I used to work at a detox center, and I would always find it interesting, the stories that the people would tell me as to how they started doing drugs. And they would say, like, you know what, I had an injury. I used to play sports, and I started on pain pills, whatever. Or this one young white dude told me, he said, I was at a party, and this guy was giving me black tar heroin all weekend for free. He was giving it to me for free. And then he next thing you know, when we wanted some more, he was like, well, it's going to cost you. That's how they get you.
He gave a little sample. Like,
That's how they get you.
here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go. Let me let you sample it.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A does that too with them little nigga samples. But
But what's funny is
same kind of crack.
a lot of those people that I would talk to in that detox center, they were like smart people. They weren't those stereotypical Tyrone Biggums, Pookie from New Jack City crackheads. They were like smart people.
I never want to sound judgy when I say it because like I have addicts in my family, but I'm just like, even with the heroin, even with the pain pills, right? Like, I hurt myself. I hurt my back really bad. And he was like, oh, I could get you Vicodin. And I'm like, ain't that shit that House was on TV?
That's all he take.
It did not go well for him. Like, so
That's all he take.
Maybe I care about my peace enough, or maybe maybe there's a healthy fear for me though, right?
Yeah.
Because it did come from, I do think there's an element of non-exposure, but maybe overexposure. I do have a family of addicts who have went to jail for a lot of stuff. So like my weight, I like am crazy about that in the same way I am about like drugs around me. Because I'm like, I've seen how this go to the most extreme amount. And so maybe that does make me more sensitive. Whereas like, if you don't know nothing about it and it's taboo, maybe you think you're different. Maybe you think I'm stronger, my mind is stronger, something like that. Because maybe I know that I'm like, I've seen my strongest cousin be weak to drugs and all kinds. So it's like maybe that's why. Because I'm just
depends,
like,
right?
I just never understand like no new meth heads, no new crackheads, no new niggas. I'm just kidding. But like, how are you like certain things? I'm just like,
Yeah. Well,
I guess.
I don't know. It's crazy. But we got to talk. Oh, I wanted to bring this up to you. So we got to talk about Damar Hamlin. Okay. So Damar Hamlin, the 24-year-old Buffalo Bills safety who had that cardiac arrest incident.
Woke
on
up
the field.
Wanted to know how they did.
Right. He okay. So he recently did an interview with Michael Strahan. And your boy.
Was he bridging the gap?
Kimmy has this funny joke about Michael Strahan. She's
got
always
it.
talking about his gap. She is so rude. He does have a pretty wide gap.
No one got. Well, I only made one joke. Somebody was like, would you rather go to space? And I was just like, I don't feel the need to go to space because Michael Strahan has already bridged the gap with that between me.
And I told her, I said, Kimmy's too smart that all her jokes have levels. And if you don't understand each level, you won't get it. She has too much information. But no, okay, so Damar Hamlin did an interview with Michael Strahan. And this is the interesting part. So Michael Strahan asked him, so what, you're 24 years old. You had this incident, like, what are doctors saying, is going on with you? Mm-hmm. And Damar Hamlin paused and basically said, I don't really want to talk about that right now. So that sent the internet and the public crazy. And everybody's spouting these conspiracy theories as to why he's hiding it or why he's not talking about what happened. And one of the main things they're saying is that, could this be due to the vaccination? Right? Now, we don't know, right? Maybe he has other things. Maybe he has health issues he doesn't want to discuss. Who knows why? But then it made me look up, okay, so who administered, Kanye the Westie is crying.
What are you doing? I don't know.
But it made me look up which company administered the vaccinations for the NFL.
Oh, because they did have those mandatory vaccinations.
They had mandatory vaccinations, and everybody's wondering if there is some type of a relationship between what happened to Damar Hamlin and the vaccination. Is that why he's staying quiet about it? Because that could create a backlash. We don't really know. They're all speculating. But I will say, if that has something to do with it, people are going to have a field day.
It is.
Because
the only thing I would say is like, I don't trust our science to have been able to make a correlation that quick, right? Like, so I don't know if it's with the vaccination, but I do think it's maybe there's something that like needs to be hushed because it's something that they can't protect them against, right? We've had that conversation a lot of times. Like, I feel the same way about the NFL that I feel about the EPA, the FDA, that we assume that they're here to protect us, but they're rarely there to protect the liability of the companies.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, like the NFL has to protect itself. So maybe whatever happens to him is more likely to happen than we think. And they don't want him to talk about it because they have no way to protect against it currently. And so, instead of saying that and us demanding some kind of change, because especially right now with everything on the online, on the internet, and people are so like, I demand change. I demand climate change. I demand, like, right? So if they put out, let's say they put out there right there that their jerseys don't protect them from being hit in this spot, and it's really like a very sensitive spot that can cause this, we're going to be like, I demand you to have a breastplate on. Well, maybe they're not ready for those changes. And so I think more so, I don't know if it's the vaccination. I do think that there's a reason why he's not saying something because that man has
absolutely.
but I bet it's more about the NFL covering their liability about something that they knew, or could protect against that they're not ready to kind of roll out. That's my opinion.
And he was, who knows what it is, like you said, but it's so funny when you watch the interview because he kind of like pauses. And it made me think about, too, how media training is important. It's like, man, be comfortable with the uncomfortable long pauses.
You knew we were going to ask you that. That's the one thing he was ask you about.
His eyes went down. He was like, and it was a long ass uncomfortable pause. And he was like, I'd rather not get into that right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh.
Brother, why are you on this show?
You know what I'm
we
saying?
was not going to have you on this show if we didn't want to know that.
They asked about everything else. Oh, we also got to
know we don't want to know
You know, people
else.
was spazzing on him, too, because he went to the NFL wearing that blasphemous jacket that had a picture of Jesus on the back, on the cross, bleeding, and his face was all, people was spazzing like,
so the
we
crucifix?
prayed for you when you went into cardiac arrest.
So wait, he had a picture of the crucifix?
So it was Jesus, and it was a white Jesus, too. How about we talk about that?
We can't be mad at him. I mean, like, that's literally America right now. We would want him to have something different on there, but
I ain't
like,
got no pictures of white Jesus.
How accessible is Black Jesus on a shirt, though? Like,
Black Jesus lives in me.
But you gonna be mad at him, and it's just like, literally go to any Bible store, you're gonna see white Jesus. Not that I believe in white Jesus, but I'm saying, like, we also got to talk about accessibility.
Yeah.
We can't ask him to demand Black Jesus. He just got
Black Jesus.
He just got back from a coma. So like,
he just got back from a coma.
You want me to wake up and all
he
of a sudden be able
up,
to create Black Jesus and on shirts and shit? Like,
when he wake up, did we win?
He just trying to see how he gonna feed his family. So I'm like,
no, and I said that too. I said, you know what? That young man is looking at his career going forward, and maybe too. I thought about this. Maybe he's also thinking like, I hope the NFL doesn't view me any differently, seeing as I fucking just passed out on the field. I hope that I still have a chance.
He's got a lot going on in his
mind.
Yeah,
live my life and have a
also,
career.
at least he had Jesus on his jersey, because some folks don't even have a little nameplate on the black that say Black Lives Matter. That it's optional, right? You see the little NFL helmets? They got like Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, love is love. Some folks don't even have nothing on their helmet, and y'all want him to be able to create a Black Jesus shirt.
Yeah, it's better than just
This is like, exactly. He's clearly not a designer. He just woke up.
No, so it was interesting though, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting, but no. Oh, we also got to talk about. Okay, so I don't know. What's the name of the podcast of your friend? The real controversial
Hardly
one.
Initiated.
Hardly Initiated. So
shout out to Catchings.
So Catchings, is that his nickname? Is that the name he goes by?
No, his name is Ryan Catchings. His last name is Catchings.
So Catchings. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Mr. Catchings. It's funny because you had told me about how he went a bit viral again for making certain statements about preferring younger women. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. But it was funny. I was watching shorts on YouTube, and his short popped up when you was gone to Mardi Gras.
You know you into the manosphere.
Man, I watch Andrew Tate. I love Kevin Samuels.
I do love Kevin.
And that's probably why
I brought us to Kevin.
Man, the algorithm must have recognized that and brought me your boy's stuff, because he popped up and I watched his little short, and he was talking about why he prefers younger women to older women and how they're more malleable, and how and so there were two other young ladies he was talking to at the time, and they were a bit offended by his statements, and felt that he merely wants to be with younger women so that he can manipulate them, so that this is a problem he has. What do you think?
Well, younger women are shorter.
Shorter? What do you mean?
I'm just kidding.
First of all, okay. So
I had
first
to
of
say
all,
it. I had to
Kimmy
throw
is
it out
making
there. I had to throw it
Kimmy's
out
making
there.
a comment about something y'all don't know. So she's referring to height. So tell them what you know about Mr. Catchings.
Okay, so just because I know him,
Tell them, because they don't know.
I would give him 5'7", by his rubric, probably 5'9".
She's saying he's 5'7", 5'9".
And
Okay.
I do feel like there's something to be said about the middle child has a syndrome as well, right? Like we talk about middle child
That's
syndrome.
what they say, right?
And so like I do think there's like a middle man syndrome about being around 5'7", 5'8", that makes you feel like you have to overly assert your personality in ways or overly assert your success in ways because you are the middle child of height. Just a little
Okay,
bit.
so you're stating that. Okay, so forget everything he said. You're stating that based on his height, he feels inadequate and therefore has to overcompensate his masculinity by being very aggressive.
I'm not going to say solely based on his height, but I'm going to think that that's a factor, right? Like because
It must be a major factor, though. You're saying.
I do think it's a large factor. I
So
think
you don't
that
think he just believes these things?
I don't think we factor in physical identity enough for men because we think that men only look at our physical identity. But I do think that men identify themselves as pack animals, but as leaders, and by that such they judge themselves on a rubric, right? A success rubric, a height rubric, a physical rubric, like. I was watching. It's funny because I was watching. You know, I love them dating love shows.
Of course you do.
Perfect Matches on Netflix. Watch out for it. And one of the guys who's clearly in shape. The guys were just like, I would get calf implants. And he was like,
I saw that on MTV.
Yeah. And they were like guys care a little bit more about their physical than we think because guys have to. We don't, as women, we don't have to do it in the same way. So we don't have to ward off predators because of like our size, our intellect, or our access in the same way. And so I think because men do that, they may identify things in different ways or they may assert themselves in different ways to show that, hey, I'm a dominant male. So I do sometimes take into account what he is saying because he is a smaller male. I would genuinely give him 5'6", 5'7". And so every time I see him, I'm towering over him.
Kimmy basically saying, fuck what you saying, small boy.
No, I'm not. I believe
because we
what
haven't
he's
even
saying.
touched. We haven't even touched on what he said. Kimmy basically
I believe
saying
that he believes what
just
he's
another
saying.
little nigga talking again.
I believe there is an element
to
his
Kimmy?
beliefs.
Tell him, how tall are you?
I am 5'10", but I do believe that there's an element to his beliefs surrounded. I think that his mindset is surrounded by his environment, and part of his environment is also being a smaller male.
But what's funny to me is, okay, so a lot of women are small though. I'm 5'3", for example. Kimmy's 5'10". So the I can date a wide range of men that Kimmy wouldn't date because Kimmy doesn't date men shorter than her. But there are a lot of there's not too many men shorter than me. If you shorter than me, I mean,
well, but I
Do you
grew
know
to
what
this
I'm
height
saying?
at 20.
yeah. Okay.
So that's why he likes younger girls. Maybe that's like they're small. I'm just kidding. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. I've been this height since 6th grade. I'm playing.
No,
I'm
but
playing.
okay, but let's go back to his original argument. So he basically was stating that young women are more malleable, more flexible, more impressionable, and the women that he was speaking to at that time were very triggered by some of the terms he used, like impressionable, malleable, because they're like, well, why do you need a younger woman? Oh, you must want to manipulate her. Why do you have to have someone that you can manipulate? What are your intentions with, why do you need that? But at the same time, just to play devil's advocate, I can understand that, like, it makes sense to me that maybe you want to, because I'm not going to lie. I'm 38 years old, right? I'll be 39 in May. I'm probably not going to be the most malleable person in certain areas because I'm almost 40 years old.
But it's just like we want to accept what impresses upon us, but doesn't want to be accountable for everything impressing upon us, right? Like, he's 100% right. You are more impressed. That's the same reason why a baby learns 2 languages quicker than an adult.
And that's what
you are constantly being impressed upon.
And they're relating it to manipulation. But
No.
what if he could be stating that, well, you know what? There are certain things that I'm trying to do as the head of this household, and I feel I can get these things done with a woman who is more.
He's like a tailor. A man is like a tailor, right? He wants to tailor you to him. But the more out of the normal size range you are, and for women
Normal
that's an age
size
thing.
range? What you say?
But for women that's age, the
me
more
talking
out of the
shit.
norm, the more out of the model, right? The more work I have to do to impress or tailor upon you. And that's okay because you're tailoring upon him too. Like, women only want it one way sometimes. I feel like, yes, he's impressing upon me, but I'm impressing upon him too.
Absolutely, you are.
And that is okay.
And that is okay.
That is the definition
we're grooming
of
each
we
other.
do that as friends. We groom each other. But
we learn
you
each
teach
other
people how to treat you.
How to treat you.
And at some level, it becomes harder to learn. We all know that as you get older, it's harder to learn.
Yeah.
And it's okay to teach someone how to teach you and be okay with them teaching you. The thing about that is the trust factor.
Yeah.
You have to trust that he's someone I want to teach me or not. And that's your boundaries that put that up.
And that's even as a woman who's older. I'm 38 years old. I think the same thing. Like when I look for a man, I look for a man who can teach me something too. Like I admire someone who knows something that I don't know. So I get it. Like it makes sense. I don't know. It was really interesting. I just know that sometimes these men that are quote unquote in the manosphere, they can say things that are very sensational and that will get your attention and that can make you angry. But when you really look at what they're saying, it's like, oh, okay, well, I kind of agree. I agree with that.
I'll tell you this. At 5'9", and I've been 5'9" since 6th grade. I met this dude in a skating rink who I was in love with. Small dude.
You fell in love with a skating rink?
I did. Okay. Like ATL. First boyfriend, he was short. He was literally 5'4", 5'5". Fell in love with him. He could skate. He could skate backwards. he could skate. Okay, he could skate.
And that was the criteria she had at that time. You just had
to
know how to skate.
I'm so young and impressionable, and I already had a feeling about I already didn't feel great about being this height, this young, because I used to have because the boys were small.
Right.
So he would say things like, you don't got to wear heels. I love your tennis shoes or whatever. So I was hella into tennis shoes. I'm impressionable.
Right.
Now, at a 30-plus woman, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, dude, no, I want to wear my heels. I love the way my legs look. I look sexy.
Period.
I have already got rooted and established in my own feelings. Yep. So I'm less than impressionable about things that I feel rooted in. And that's okay. That just means I can't be with a shorter guy who wants to impress upon me that I don't need to wear heels. But he's right. I am less impressionable about things that I feel certain in.
Yes.
I'm certain that I want to have 3 to 4 kids. I am certain that I want certain things because I have lived life, and life has impressed things on me, or life, people, my parents, my friends, experiences. All these things constantly impress us, and that is okay. But it has inserted in me what I feel about certain things. So he's right. I am less malleable. I'm less open to be with someone.
I'm less malleable.
And so that's okay, because I would rather be less malleable because now I can find exactly what I want and what makes me happy because I'm less malleable for me. But for him, he's less likely to mold me for him. So it works for both of us. Right? We talk about boundaries. We talk about wanting to define what you want. As you get older as a woman, you do that. Those kind of boundaries and definitions are not malleable.
That's why he wants a younger woman. It makes me think
those aren't malleable, and that's okay.
Leonardo DiCaprio is getting a lot of slack because they always talk about how he dates younger women. He's 48 years old right now. His newest girlfriend is 19. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, people are like, "What is wrong with him?" But he
don't want to change shit.
It makes me think about what they said about R. Kelly. One of the people closest to him, one of his homeboys or whatever, during the time that all that shit was going on, said that R. Kelly liked young girls because they didn't want much from him. All they wanted was like a Coke and a smile.
Yeah.
But come on, it's like, and so it's
funny because you ain't me no Coke.
We think something is wrong with it, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense to me that a man wants to be like revered by a woman, and the main woman able to do that would be a younger woman, right? Or somebody who has it maybe because an older woman is probably going to be like, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, we can't ask for two things. As older women, I don't want him to come at me with this, and this. We like, I'm not like Chili. None of us are. But with that stark list.
She finally found a man, though, Chili.
Yeah, look how long.
Finally.
But you can't come with this stark list and then be upset when a guy doesn't meet that and wants somebody who's able to bend on that list. You don't want to bend on that list. And that's fine because you have learned what you want.
Right.
Great. I've learned what I don't want.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It was interesting, but I don't hate on men if they want to date younger women because I typically like older men. So,
Me too.
I mean,
I'm not malleable.
How can I get mad at you when I have a preference?
Because it's the same thing. As an older man, you're so rigid in what you like. I can find an older man that fits my thing because he's gonna be like, "Oh, I like to go to bed early.
Exactly.
I like to,
we in the bed by 7:30.
He's so rigid in what he wants that I know I can pick from all the other men and be like, okay, this is the one who's going to meet me well.
Right.
And that's what he's doing. This is the girl that's going to meet me well because I'm here. Mm-hmm. I don't want a girl who may want to only eat.
Yeah.
Look, you asked me, I only drink Kettle One. He may not have a Kettle One budget. He may want a girl who's open to Tito's. I am not. My stomach is not set up
she ain't open
for
to
Tito's post 30. Post 30, I'm not set up for.
We had Tito's.
I'm not set up for Jose. I'm only Casamigos.
We had Tito's one night, and she was so mad. She's like, they didn't give us Kettle One. They
I
gave
knew
us
it.
Tito's.
I knew it. That's what I'm saying. You may need a Tito's girl. You're right. I cannot bend on that.
No, okay. No.
I'm too rigid.
All right, we got to move.
My stomach does not fit.
Like, this don't work for me. No, but we.
I was sick the next day with
so
that.
I mean, so Ryan Catchings, if you're listening, we're not tripping on you. Like, it is what it is. Like what you like. But Kimmy also feels like you like what you like because you a little nigga. But it's all right. We'll move on. No. Oh, so I gotta tell you about this. Okay,
I
so
ain't say
boom.
that catch.
I was reading. So they have this, they're working on it now, but it looks very promising. They have this new male birth control. Listen to how it works. Yo, niggas about to change the game. Let me tell you how it works. So basically, it's a substance you take, and what it does is it inactivates this cellular. Shut the hell up, Kimmy. Shut up. You take this substance, right? And they done already saw promise with it in mice. So you know it's going to work on us. Listen.
Because they be having
You
babies.
take this substance, and what it does is it inactivates this signaling cellular protein, and what that does is it immobilizes your sperm.
Yeah.
So he would take it 30 minutes prior.
The tail is made of protein.
30 minutes to an hour prior to having sex, and his sperm will not swim. Even while it's inside of you, it's not going to swim.
The tail
So
is made of protein.
They said that this could change the game for reproduction across the board because it gives men. So basically, he can still shoot the club up, as Charlamagne says. Basically, he can still ejaculate inside of you if he wants to, but when he takes this, they're not going to swim nowhere. So men compare, but I just thought it was so funny to hear a man say, "I gotta take my birth control." What you think?
No.
Like, yo, it's changing the game. So
I think they're
Autumn,
not taking it. I think they're not taking
so
it.
Autumn. Well,
They're not
first,
taking it.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard
Spermicide is a thing.
about a male birth control, I was thinking to myself, I don't want to, because I don't like birth control. I'm going to be honest. I don't like the way it changes certain things about me. So I was like, well, what are they going to do? But if they can truly prove that it solely just immobilizes sperm and then it wears off, fine. But I just sometimes feel like when you influence different things in my body, how is that influencing me as a whole?
That's the first thing I thought.
That's the thing I
because
think about.
we all our cells have a lipid bilayer that has protein. in it.
Come
So my
on,
first thing
lipid
was
bias,
like-
phospholipids. Come on, scientists.
I was like, now wait a minute, that didn't sound right. Also, right? Also, so the head group is still active. It's just it can't swim. What if you got some very like potent like eggs? Secondly, I'm like,
Potent eggs. The eggs, all eggs do is sit there, waiting for a nigga to come.
But
if he
the-
don't never come, you done.
they do swim, but it also shoots it too. So there's two layers to that. You know, I'm like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Who
it's
shoot
like
it?
cocked
They
ants,
shoot
you
it.
know?
Well, the thing is, they
Hey,
can shoot it up
hey.
in there, but as soon as they get there, they lay down.
But the egg don't be far. Listen, I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't trust it.
Here's my thing. We've
I
all
don't
seen
trust it.
Who saw Look Who's Talking. Remember that movie where it shows the
I love
sperm
that when
and they
were, like,
swimming in there?
and they had all those conversations. I
And the
just love
head,
that movie.
and the head goes in there and it digs in it. But if that tail ain't moving, all you got is a bunch of heads of sperm that just
you
sink-
got less propelling.
to the bottom.
You don't have zero. You have
they
less
sink.
propelling. Because that's what spermicide does.
But they saw, yeah, it kills the sperm. But they saw that, so they're finding that in these mice, like impregnation is like severely decreased.
yeah, because mice got more.
And they're similar to us.
The
which
mice.
is why they use them.
No. Here's why. The mice don't have to take the pill. Here's the thing. Niggas is not taking that shit.
The mice ain't got no IUD.
Niggas is not taking it. And I will put 50 cent in a nigga jar for
Let me
saying
tell you
this,
why.
But that's what I'm saying.
No.
Niggas is not
They
taking
gonna take it. Let me tell you why.
Niggas is not
If
taking
you
this.
tell a nigga like, hey, you could come, he gonna be like, I can come in there, but I ain't, because the
Listen,
minute you try to
listen.
tell me you pregnant, and I be like, nah, bitch, I took my birth control.
No.
They wasn't swimming nowhere.
You giving niggas way too much credit. And I have to keep using the nigga word because I'm saying niggas got condoms. Niggas got spermicide. Niggas got the clips on their stuff. Niggas got, they are paying for the clips on niggas things that you can be taken off so they can still not make it. Niggas is not doing none of that.
Let me be
If
honest.
niggas didn't want babies, niggas could not have babies.
Let me be honest,
They barely
though.
pulling out.
Because pulling out is hard. Let me tell you something about
See what I'm
sex.
saying?
Let me
Pulling
tell you
out's hard?
Let me tell y'all something about sex, guys. Just in case you didn't know. Condoms, I get it. Like, I get it why you don't. No, for real. Nothing. No, let's be honest. I get why you don't want to use a condom. Because nothing feels better than that soft, wet pink matter.
You have to
as
take
Frank
your birth
Ocean
control
says.
at the same time every day.
And then birth control sucks because
niggas is barely eating.
But if he can take
consistently.
this thing 30 minutes to an hour prior to when he know he about to get the pussy,
Don't believe it.
and it immobilizes
He's
his
going to be
swimmers.
drunk. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe it. That's a lot of
No.
responsibility. If niggas was going to take charge of that
She's
responsibility,
saying
we
y'all
would have
dumb.
male. No, I'm
She
not
said,
saying
She
dumb.
said that's a lot of responsibility.
Not saying dumb. I'm saying irresponsible. If niggas was taking that much responsibility beforehand, we wouldn't have all these babies with no daddies now. It's like it's
Ooh.
not that hard right now
Kim
to go.
don't even- oh.
30 minutes before, you could go pick up a lambskin. You could go pick up something. 30 minutes before, if you're gonna be that responsible,
a condom?
you would have been that.
Let me tell you why
responsible.
I feel like this shit changes the game though. I still get to feel the pussy in its entirety. I don't need a condom because condoms change the feeling.
Spermicide
not
takes about 15 minutes
Not
before.
only do I need to I can get inside of you with nothing in between us. I also get to bust a nut like I want
Spermicide
to.
does
As long
all
as
this.
I take this one substance that's going to stop my sperm from swimming. I think we might be on to something.
Here's the thing, for one, the way science works, it's gonna be like you have to take it, but you have to be able to have so much water that day, no alcohol in your system. Let's be clear, it's not gonna be just like, oh, I'm gonna take. That's the same thing about the birth control pill. It's
You
like,
can't take any of your supplements.
chicks are messing up the birth control pill. We're at least a tad bit more responsible. So I'm like, it's gonna be all kind of factors and stipulations to this.
This is a horrible. Now you're making me think about
Niggas
how
gonna be 15 minutes in, like I think it's ready.
Yeah,
And it takes 30 minutes. I just no, like the preparation for sex. By the time you in your mind know you're gonna get it, it's not 30 minutes. It's about 12.
You're
it's
so
just
right
like,
about the birth
I
control.
don't believe it.
Let me tell y'all how irresponsible I was with birth control. Hence, I have one child. And I was like,
He got pregnant while I was on the pill. How?
let me tell you what happened.
You
So
had to
I
take
would-
4 at one time, miss
I
one
would miss
day
the
at 8
pill,
o'clock.
and then I would
Thank
think,
you.
let me double up next time. That's all you gotta do.
Exactly.
I was such a dummy.
And the niggas gonna do that. And some girl gonna have 14 babies. That's what I'm saying. No.
No,
I don't believe it. I don't believe
well,
it.
I think
I'm not
it's-
putting that responsibility in his hands.
I think it's a great idea, though, for them to start thinking about what kind of things can we give to men so that, first of all, women don't have to be the only ones taking these things. Because I hate birth. I'm not going to lie. The reason I don't like birth control, I don't like how it affects. I remember when I was in nursing school, I learned that a woman is always in one of two states. She's either, her body is either trying to get pregnant or pregnant. So if you take something that affects that process, you're going to throw everything off about me. Like there's too many different things about that birth control does to you that I don't like to fuck with, but I get it. I don't want to have, you got to think, do you want to have a baby though? Yeah, I don't want to have a baby, but I also want to feel like myself.
Bro, you sound like a feminist. Figure it out. Like,
No, I'm not a feminist. I'm still fucking.
Figure it
The
out.
thing is-
Figure it out. Because
I want my coochie to be
cannot
still
figure
wet.
it the fuck
'cause
out.
birth control.
Like, you
and
gotta
then
carry the baby. It's your responsibility.
You
Figure
got
it
the
out.
shot that's
Like,
making you fat. I don't want to be fat. You know, as a result of me trying to make sure I don't get pregnant. I don't want to be fat. I don't want my pussy to be dry, because that's another thing birth control can do, make your pussy dry. I want to be able to have sex and not have babies, but still maintain my normal state. But is that possible?
If
Is that
all of these things
possible?
were a true factor, McDonald's wouldn't exist. If you didn't want to be fat, there'd be no McDonald's.
I eat McDonald's a lot, and I ain't
That's what
fat,
I'm saying.
baby. I ain't fat.
Yeah, you work out, but as the masses, as America being 70% obese, if people didn't want to be fat with dry vaginas, that's a product of salt, sugar, and fast food. So it's like, if people were really that responsible, we wouldn't have all these other things that laterally affect that. They don't. So it's just like, okay, it sounds great.
Well, it makes
Men
sense.
have
The
the
way-
power in their hands too. Don't believe it.
The way birth control is preventing babies is by making your coochie dry, because ain't nobody gonna want that coochie at all. she said, nah,
And
man.
then, well, no, I'm saying, and now they've made created lube and all kind of shit.
No,
I'm on the non-hormonal, but like,
exactly, it makes a difference, right?
yes,
It's a huge difference.
But that's what I'm saying. So I'm just like, yes, in theory, this sounds amazing. Yay, men.
They all sound
Take
amazing.
yours too.
Take
take
yours,
yours
and I'm gonna
too.
take mine, because
So
I don't
my
trust your
IUD
shit.
is gonna stay Trump tight.
I don't trust
you know what I'm
your
saying?
shit.
Like,
yeah. But maybe men, we don't think they could be responsible because they've never had like any birth control options.
There's
like, let's
hella
give them.
that's the thing too.
Besides a vasectomy?
No, there's hella birth control options
For
men
men,
right
like
now.
what?
Yes,
Like
there's
what?
spermicide. There's
You
those
mean just
clips.
rubbing the liquid on? I don't want no spermicide. I don't want nothing with side on the end of it in me.
Another excuse. All right.
Killing me.
So then they have actually those immovable clips that you can make that men can clip their.
I don't want him clipping nothing.
See, okay, so something else he can have. He can also wear a condom. He can also pull out.
Okay.
You know, It's too
Pulling
many.
out.
It's too many unwanted babies out
That's
here.
a lot
for
of
me to
pressure.
feel like that men are like, oh, I don't want to have a baby.
Let me tell you why
30
pulling
minutes
out is a
before,
problem.
I'm thinking about this right now.
Pulling out is a problem because we are expecting you at the height of your excitement.
Here's the thing. Abstinence is also a thing. You can also just
Okay.
only have sex with
Who
your wife.
doing that though?
So I just named you 7
When
forms
last
of birth
time you was
control for
abstinent?
men.
I've been absent, but when I say was abstinent,
I've been abstinent for the past
She'll
6 months.
okay, all right. We're not gonna go into that. You know what? But anyways, listen, guys. I'm all for you guys not having to get vasectomies. Hopefully this thing comes
The
to
clips
market
are not
soon.
vasectomy.
I don't want y'all having, because I also feel like vasectomies, even though they snip the vas deferens, I feel like when you change something about one thing, I don't know if it's gonna make it's like getting a dog neutered and spayed. You remove the fight out of the motherfucking dog. Like, I want you to
You
maintain
can have the
your
clips
sense of
and not
self.
a vasectomy. The clips are not a vasectomy.
I don't want your shit clipped though. I don't
Okay,
know.
all right.
I don't know.
You trust these new niggas out here with
I don't
this,
trust none of these new niggas, but we need something
this
better.
new school spermicide.
All this new school. We need some new technology because
The dental dam was a shit.
dental dam.
You remember that?
That is so ridiculous.
I don't even know that, but my mom talks about it. She said that's how she
Yeah.
got pregnant with me. So
Yes,
there's
it
that.
didn't work, did it?
And I'm here. Thank goodness they're married.
And happy
So,
and thriving. Anyways, okay. We
30
got to
and
move
40
on.
and
Okay, so
30.
boom. All right, no. I have to bring this up to you. So there was a situation. So this teacher, no. Oh, before that, we got to talk about Boosie. Okay. Did you see this? So Boosie basically canceled T.I. So I guess they were, Lil Boosie, if y'all don't know, he is a rapper.
Pause. Wait, pause. Boosie has the right to cancel nobody because he's barely uncanceled.
Y'all need to leave Boosie
So it's
alone.
just
I
like-
just seen Boosie in Atlanta when I was at the mall.
We just was like,
We was in the Louis Vuitton store. And he, you know.
Boosie's
whatever.
barely made it out of the Southeast. So,
I like
okay,
that
continue.
look at she hating. So you for T.I. then, because this is about Boosie and T.I.
I'm from Atlanta.
So Lil Boosie is canceling T.I., I guess, or so I guess they were supposed to have an album that was coming out.
A new
together.
album.
A
It's
joint
due a
album.
joint album.
So Lil Boosie,
That was very much on Boosie's favor. Okay.
man. Well, what the fuck is T.I. doing though?
When the last Boosie album we bought?
When the
though?
last T.I. album?
We just bought a T.I. album.
Who did? You did?
I did.
What? Which was it?
Here's the thing. First of all, T.I. has at least 7 other albums that's been bought.
Back
Boosie
in the
has One
day,
in the
I don't like
Possible.
this new T.I. though. I don't. Where he use all these big words. Stick to the words you know.
Boosie has One in the Possible. T.I. has a podcast, and
You know what?
T.I. at least is a.
Let me tell you why I fuck with Boosie. Boosie was the only one to step up when all that shit was going on with Dwayne Wade and him, his daughter Zaza. What the fuck is Zaya Wade? He was the one that stepped up and was like, this shit don't make sense. So the reason I fuck with Boosie is because in this climate, if you can maintain your values in this very hard climate, it's very hard for you to really voice how you feel about certain things. This is why I fuck with Boosie, because I'm like, he was like, nah, come on.
I get it.
That's why I fuck with him.
I
T.I.,
get it. My
I don't know.
70-year-old grandma feels the exact same way as Boosie.
Exactly.
I get it. My 70-year-old
Most of
grandma
our
feels the
older
same way.
black family members do feel that way.
So
which
Boosie
is
is
so
an
funny.
older black family member.
How old is
I
Boosie?
agree. Old enough to be
And
considered an older black family
T.I.,
member.
meanwhile, T.I. and Tiny out there known to be taking girls and fucking
I mean,
come on, and you from Atlanta? Oh, now she wanna overlook that. Okay, so this is what happened. So basically, Boosie is canceling T.I. So T.I. He
Trying
actually
to cancel.
he
Allegedly.
T.I. should have been canceled. He went out. So T.I., by his own admission, is admitting that he was cooperating with law enforcement.
He didn't say that.
He did cooperate with him because he told them something. So that in its own self implies cooperation, because the no snitching
very
rule in the
intense
black
word.
community means
That's a
I
very
don't
intense word.
say anything to the police.
No. But cooperation and silence is different.
But silence is what we would prefer. So by you cooperating with them means you wouldn't talk to them.
All I'm saying is,
And the no snitching rule is very rigid in the black community. I'm not saying it's right, but it's very rigid. I don't know if you guys remember the Cameron. Y'all remember Cameron? Cameron, the rapper from New York, from Dipset. He went on an interview, and I will never forget. They asked Cameron about the no snitching deal. Like, so you talking about you don't talk to police, you don't snitch. And he was like, no snitching. So the reporter asked him, he said, so if you had a serial killer living right next door to you, and you saw him doing these things, and you know what he was doing there, you telling me you wouldn't tell police? And Cameron, in order to make his argument consistent. He said, no, I wouldn't. So this no snitching policy is pretty funny when you bring it to the forefront and really talk about it. But I mean, a lot of people feel that way. So Boosie is canceling T.I., or this by his own, admission or whatever, stating that because T.I. went on a public platform and stated that in a particular situation, he did place blame on a cousin of his but he said I guess he spoke to law enforcement and placed blame on a cousin of his for a particular incident.
Told him to do
but
first.
His cousin is dead.
His cousin told him to do it first.
And his cousin is also dead, though, too. So it's funny because I spoke to this about with my sister, and she was like, well, it's stupid, though. It doesn't matter. His cousin is dead, so what does it matter? Yeah, put the blame on him. And I guess Boosie is trying to uphold the very old no snitching rule of like, well, it doesn't matter if he's dead. You should have never cooperated with law enforcement.
Okay, so here's my thing.
What do you think?
So the word cooperate means to work towards the same goal.
Yes.
If my cousin told me I'm about to die, put it on me, I'm more cooperating with him to say that to the police as he asked me, then I'm cooperating with the police because their goal is different. And that's I'm like, we get really into I'm very into semantics and the word choice I get heavily into it. So like me cooperating with the police is with the intention of us having the same end goal. Me giving you a nugget, if that's the nugget that was told to me to give to you, it's not me cooperating with you. I think snitching is only snitching for me. And I've been snitched on by my little brother to my parents.
Totally different, though.
Me snitching is for me to absolve myself of guilt for my benefit at your expense. But if I tell you, like I've told my brother, go downstairs and tell mommy that I feel sick, if I'm using you and we're working together, we are cooperating towards a common goal. And so that's something like Boosie, and that's what T.I.'s statement was. You don't have enough information to know to come at me like this with this kind of heat. You're thinking I'm like out here snitching, and his cousin told him, "Hey, yo, I'm about to die. Put it on me." He said that. He says he's like, "Hey, I'm on my way out. Put it on me." Because the goal is, let's be clear. T.I. has the money in whatever ring he's running. So if I go down, none of us eat. So if he's like, "Yo, put it on me," as a chess move for you to have more, then you're cooperating within the same goal. But here's the problem, and that's the problem that I feel like that Black people have is sometimes we're so one-sided with our personal needs. We don't know how to make a move bigger than ourselves. We don't know how to understand moves bigger than ourselves. We have to be explained too much. And sometimes with chess, we look at the mafia and everything else. You got to be so comfortable with not knowing and shutting the fuck up and knowing that this is the best move for all of us, but we have too much opinion. We need too much explanation. We need to know too much. And so by the time I have to do that to you, the end game is already sold out. And so that's my thing. I feel like sometimes people are like, oh, you snitching, so you need to explain to me. And it's like, no, I'm saying it's all good. You should actually be okay with it being all good. And I kind of feel like that with the situation. We don't notice it. There's too many variables in the situation for me to think that T.I. is a snitch. Because to me, a snitch is about their own back at the expense of someone else who was alive, who isn't also cooperating.
They got to be alive.
Well, who isn't also cooperating with my goals and my needs. And
I can,
that's a big thing that his cousin knew.
And I can understand what you're saying, but at the same time, for you to say that I'm cooperating with my cousin, you're also cooperating with law enforcement.
At the expense, my cousin asked me to.
And that's fine, but you're still but to try and say you're not cooperating with law enforcement just because you're trying to say I cooperate with my cousin.
The goal is the same.
You're still cooperating with law enforcement though. And here's the thing, you may not want to say that, but you're cooperating with law enforcement. And the culture is very sensitive to believing that you cooperated with law enforcement. I know niggas that went to jail. If a nigga goes to jail, let me tell you how it happens in the ghetto. In the ghetto, if a nigga goes to jail and he gets out too quick, niggas be like, the fuck? If there's another nigga still in there and then you get out too quick, they mind gets to running like, well, what the fuck did you tell them? Why the fuck you out and he not out, right? Because now you see that thing with Lil Baby. Not Lil Baby, Young Thug. And it is. Is it Lil Baby?
No,
where
it's
they're
not
like,
Lil Baby.
Who
it's
is it? Gunna. And they're like, now they're trying to, and it's so funny.
It's a RICO case.
Even the attorneys know how crazy snitching is perceived in this community because his attorneys had to come out and make a statement and said, Gunna did not cooperate at all with law enforcement and give any kind of an information regarding this case against Thug or whatever. So it's funny because on one hand, it's like we understand no snitching, right? Don't snitch. Because basically, I feel in our community, there is this reputation of us not trusting law enforcement. So why would you work with them at all? Don't talk to them at all. But
I
you're
don't
right.
know that talking to you is cooperation.
Yeah, talking to you is cooperation.
First of all, because
especially if I give you information.
here, first of all, I've been watching Bumpy Johnson. So
I know.
I feel like
Forrest,
I'm a gangster.
Kimmy loves Forrest Whitaker now with
I
his
am.
lazy eye.
He's my baby daddy.
Yeah.
But so
We messed.
I've been watching Bumpy Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
and so maybe I feel a different way. But to me, what's the goal, right? If T.I. got approached because the goal was to lock up T.I. because he's the kingpin on the RICO charge, and T.I. gives to somebody who's dead, I didn't really cooperate. What I did was I hid the hand and what is it, hide the hand and throw the goose or something like that. But like I didn't cooperate. You may think I cooperated, but I didn't. I shielded the hand and hide the goose or whatever that statement it is. Like, right? So like, yo, sometimes I think like that's our problem to me. Sometimes I feel like black folks like, yo, understand and be safe and trust that you don't know the next move, but it's your best move. And that's the problem, right? Like in that RICO case with Ghana and Rick Thug and Young Thug and all them, we don't know how Ghana got out earlier, but people were so upset about Ghana. You don't know what moves that he may be making for Young in his defense.
No, we don't.
For us to think that we're going to silence ourselves to the police completely is us to think that the police are also working with the drug dealers as well. They are. So there's a certain level of, we all know the game. Women know the game, men know the game. I got to tell you some things. Like, you got to play the game correctly, right?
No, that's fine.
I got to tell you some things. Like, so I can cooperate and like
that's fine. But
out front or not cooperate out front, but like,
but just be mindful of how that looks. I'm just saying.
but
You can cooperate.
But
all
if you
want.
all about looks, then you shouldn't be in the game.
Well, that's
because
how
the
they are,
game
but-
should not look up. That's why we are more behind than all the other
No, I'm not
people.
saying that that part you said is not wrong. But what I'm saying is, please know that the game is all about looks. The culture is all about how it looks.
It's about trust. The game is about
ain't
trust.
about
The culture is about
at all.
perception.
It's about
the
how
culture
it
is
looks.
about perception, but the game is about trust.
The game ain't about trust. The game is about how
The
it looks.
drug game
If
is.
you go to jail, and motherfucker go to jail, like even I remember when Little Kim went to jail, and they made it look like, or the idea, right? If you go to jail, that gets a lot of credibility in this particular culture. The fact that you went to jail, right? Remy Ma went to jail. She stabbed a bitch, whatever, right? So there's a lot of respect given for someone who goes to jail, who doesn't say anything, who serves their time. So what I'm saying is, does this man being dead make it any different? T.I.'s cousin being dead, make it any different that you cooperated with police and that he told you to do so?
It's a chess move.
I can see
Okay.
I can see how people can look at him and be like, okay, that's what you did. I
Then
can
you
see
don't
it.
but
At the same time, I can also see it where it's like, well, that's a bit different. The nigga's dead. and
either
you
way,
put it
I'm
on
like, yo,
him.
it's a chess move. I'm like, yo, the people at the top should play chess and the people at the bottom should be pawns. Because I'm like, yo,
And they are.
it's all about trust.
And they are.
It's all about trust. Because I'm like, yo, I told my little brother this. If you don't snitch and these cats stay, dad has no other default but to assume that they were here naturally. But the second one person tells or one person defaults, right? So I'm like, yo, daddy gonna say I said something, whatever. I'm gonna tell daddy that I just saw them down here. I'm gonna say something. You gotta, sometimes you gotta get a man something. I said it. We know the
Sometimes
story.
you got to get a man something.
So,
but what are you giving him?
So this is the story of.
You could also
I'm
give him I
referencing
don't
a
know.
story
You
of
can also give him I don't
when
know though. There's
you
a
can't.
there's
No.
different options you can give. I
Not
can
in
gi-
chess.
I
Not
can
in
gi-
chess.
I can
Not in
give you
chess.
that I don't know something.
Not in chess.
But for me to give you because whatever you give,
That's not a
it's-
chess move.
But whatever you give is a move. And my thing is you got to be very mindful about what you give.
It's not a chess
But you're
move.
giving something.
So Kimmy is referencing a story with my brother and me and my cousins where there were some cats at the street. And
we
said,
talked about it in the past podcast.
right, it's a past podcast.
Right.
So there's some cats at the street, and I'm like, yo, I want these cats. I want us to have cats. My dad is not really about cats in our house. So I'm like, yo, if we move them down and then let them stay there, my dad gonna think they wild cats.
I
And
remember,
then all of a
right.
sudden they'll be our cats, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like, at some point I knew, and that's what I'm saying, I played chess with my dad a lot. My dad not gonna think these cats randomly came from nothing. I gotta give him something. I gotta give, well, I saw some food out. Well, I saw, He not gonna take that from 0 to 100. We got cats downstairs.
He ain't gonna have no choice if everybody keep the same story.
But here's the thing.
He not gonna have no choice.
No, but
Yes,
it's
he not gonna
also
have no
not
choice.
rational. We have to talk about what's rational as a
He
person.
not gonna have no choice.
Nah.
though. If I say I don't
It's
know,
not rational for cats to move
No,
locations
he not
without
gonna-
some kind of catalyst.
But he not gonna have no choice if all of us are saying the same thing.
No, he at some point though with a dog and a bone, and the police are this way too. They gonna keep chasing my tail
And
if
that's
I don't
fine.
give them something.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. So it's a chess move. So what my brother did was
They keep
my brother
chasing-
thought my dad knew that we brought them down, so he snitched.
Exactly.
If he would have rolled with the fact that
Exactly.
we all saw some food down there and maybe the cats moved down and
Yeah.
gave my dad that, gave him cooperated enough to say, well, we saw food, cooperated enough to say, so then we still have the board. That's what I'm saying is the thing about, that's what I genuinely think after watching all these movies and stuff that black people don't understand is that when they don't understand the move on the board, they assume it's something else. And it's like, nah, this is a move on the board. I need you to trust me. There's an element of trust that has to happen. And like, snitching or not snitching is too stark. That's only in our culture, but we're also the most in jail. So that doesn't work for either one of us. So that's like snitching or not.
We the most in
you
jail
have
for
to-
a lot of different reasons.
It is,
though.
but we can't discredit
Yeah,
the fact
a lot
that
of
like
different
our mafias are broken down by a man on the inside the most.
Absolutely, because he's snitching.
Because he's snitching. Because he doesn't understand the goal of like tell a little
Exactly.
but not enough. You have to be able to be a pawn.
No.
You have to be able to be
He
moved.
doesn't understand
You have
it-
to be able to understand the goal without all the explanation.
He
And
don't-
I do not think that sometimes we buy into that. Case in point, this conversation.
He doesn't understand that there's something bigger than himself. That's the issue. There's
He
something
doesn't
bigger
understand
than
that.
you.
I'm gonna
And
have to
what
tell on my dead cousin who's dying who told me in order for me to still be on top.
My thing is this, like, I feel that he doesn't understand he doesn't understand the idea of something bigger than himself. And so at the end of the day, when things get tight, it's about him and me getting out. Now, I'm not saying that that's T.I.'s situation per se, because I don't necessarily disagree with this. I'm just trying to offer an opposing view of it as to why somebody would feel that way, because I don't know really what Boosie's objective is by doing this. I don't know how he feels. But I do think that if this is what I'm giving you and this is what it is, I don't cooperate with you, right? Cooperation to me, because even me talking, if we want to talk about cooperation across the board.
It's not the definition of it.
Me talking to you in general is cooperation.
That's not the definition of cooperation. That's not the definition of cooperation.
Okay, but let me say what I'm saying. When I talk about cooperation, when you come over and I sit and talk to you, people could view that as co-op. The fact that you came to my house and they saw that I opened the door and let you in, they don't know what I spoke to you about. So they might view that as cooperation. When I speak about cooperation, I'm talking about specifically when I came to you and asked you for an answer as to who did what, I gave you an answer. That to me is cooperation. I gave you an answer as to what happened and who did what. That to me is cooperation. Other people might view us having a conversation in general as cooperation. But when I'm speaking about it, it's that when you came and you had a question, I gave you an answer as to who did it.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's cooperation.
That's something we can't work to the same goal because my definition of cooperation is the actual Webster textbook definition, which is working towards the same goal. So me using
And
you
we work towards the same
my
goal.
goal. No,
'Cause
no,
you
no,
got
no.
the answer you
no,
wanted.
No, no,
Yeah.
Me using you. No,
Let's
no.
look it up
You
right
might
now.
have got the answer that you have may
You got
have
an
wanted.
answer you
but
wanted.
if it leads you towards my goal, we are not cooperating. So I'm like, yo, for me, that is the problem. Sometimes we are so caught up into what we think instead of what the overall goal is. There's no trust there. That is like, yo, I can give you information that you think is successful and not be cooperating with your or my goals.
But
I can
my
give you
goal-
information. That's what I'm saying.
But my goal was to get an answer as to who did what. That
Your
is
goal
the goal.
was to no. For
Your
the
goal
most
was
part,
to
the
what?
police, when you talk about a police investigation
What is
where
their
the
goal?
FBI involved, their goal is to get a certain person.
No, their goal is to get the person who did it. What do you mean a certain person?
No,
the goal
not
of
always,
The
not
goal of the law
always.
enforcement is to get the Now it depends. If I'm trying to get this specific person, because
mostly that.
First of all, if I'm trying to get this specific person, then that's a specific goal.
That's
But
more than likely
when you
about
talk-
me. If they're asking T.I., they're trying to get somebody.
When you talk about a crime, though, the goal is for me to figure out who did this crime.
No, it's
Now,
not.
if you're talking,
No,
why
it's
not? Why would it not be that?
because
Why
that's
is it not the
assumption-
goal? Why is
that's
that
the
not the
assumption-
goal?
That's not. When we're talking about
What do you mean?
RICO charges.
Well,
when we're
RICO
talking about
charges, Young Thug.
even T.I., drug charges.
No, he's
the
not a
goal
RICO.
is not
That's
to
not a
get
RICO
one
charge.
person because the one person is likely the smallest person.
No,
the goal
RICO
is to get the
means
main
the top
person.
RICO is the top nigga running shit.
And if
That's
the
Young
police are
Thug.
asking you,
Yeah. That's
if the police
totally
are
different.
asking T.I.,
That's totally different.
if the police are asking T.I. who's that high up, their goal is to not get them just one person. Their goal is to be either get everybody or a specific person. Let's be clear. The police are not wasting their time. Like the small B cop is, but if we got the FBI involved, if we got the any kind of special case type of person involved, they are looking for who they think is the top.
Yeah, that's why Thug is in the position he's in.
Right. So with that being said, I'm assuming, and it is an assumption, but I think I can make a 90% assumption that if they're asking T.I. something, they're assuming they're going to get somebody above him. They're assuming they're going to get somebody, a big fish, right? The assumption is about a big fish. And with that being said, like, me and you working towards the same cause is us getting that big fish. Me and you cooperating is me and you getting that same fish. Me giving you a bone is me throwing... Me and you do it all the time with Wilsey. I'm going to throw it to the left so I can go to the right.
But
that's what I'm saying is sometimes with the snitching thing is that we have to trust that maybe I got to give a little to get a lot.
No, that's fine. But the thing is, I think that at the end of the day, people want an answer for a problem. And so it's like, who committed this murder? Is this the person? Fine. If you want to get the top nigga, like they want to get El Chapo or El Chapo's son, fine, we'll go for the top nigga. But somebody needs to answer for what happened here to satisfy the public, to satisfy something. Who did this? It was him. Boom, we got it. We good. And that could also be a problem, as we saw with the Jeffrey Epstein situation. Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein wasn't the problem. The problem is that there are a lot of people who want these types of services. He just happened to be the conduit with which they were able to do it. But the fact is, that's why that motherfucker's dead now, right? Because he had a fucking book full of information of customers who were soliciting his services, right? But we have satisfied the public,
so he's
and
the big fish.
Now we've satisfied the public, but not really, because there is an issue of different people soliciting these services, and if it's not him, it'll be somebody else. Mm-hmm. But now we have somebody to satisfy the public with, where we caught the guy, is good, we're good. The island is shut down. Right. So, I mean, I don't know. It's interesting because I don't believe in just black and white. I do believe there's some gray area, obviously. But it's interesting because I don't know what made Bootsy just want to put this out there like that.
But this situation lets me know that Bootsy has always been a middle to low level man. He's never been above it, because even at work, I'm a high level man, so I know about the expendability of people and information to be able to get our goal. So that lets me know that Bootsy he's always been a middle or low man. You don't know about how sometimes you got to give a little to get a lot.
Yeah,
you got to pay a little to get more. Sometimes you gotta sacrifice your left to get your right, and that's my thing. So I'm like, yo, what it lets me know, like the majority of people, 70% I think is what it says about the U.S.
What?
It's sheep. And so you just need me to make you feel good about all of it. So let me tell you about Earth.
Earth is ghetto, I wanna leave. Can you beam me up? I'm out on the street.
So for me, Earth is ghetto because Natalie Nunn and Tommy Lee, which both are like reality show TV stars, which also is like a thing we have to talk about now. They plan to fight on like Zeus Network in a couple weeks. And so behind like Chris Brown's show or behind some kind of show, they actually got into a very physical fight where one girl snatched another girl wig off, beating her up. And so now everybody's talking about like, oh, do we may or may not need to fight because they already fought, or just talking about the fact that they fought now and as be using it as fuel for their fight that's happening on Zeus Network. For me, that's ghetto as fuck because I'm just over. Maybe this is me, but I'm just over. I love reality TV show. I'm over the violence of it though. Like, yo, let's normalize jumping someone off. Let's normalize using your words to tear someone down. Not that that's good, but like this normalizing us running up on some girl and hitting her head and beating her up, like because I'm so mad. It's just like I'm just kind of over that amount of violence. I'm just kind of that's ghetto to me. Like. You can't make me feel bad with your words so much as you got to run up on me when I don't see you coming and snatch my wig off and hit me in the head. Mm-hmm. That's pretty lame to me.
That happens in the wild, though.
Does it?
It's like
you roar first.
My thing, yeah, and whoever backs down. But if you both roaring and nobody back down, somebody got to fight.
But they wasn't roaring. You got a roar set up for the Zeus Network in 2 weeks. You just heard Wellesley. He turned the fuck up, but he ain't bite nobody yet.
He would have to bite somebody though if it went further. If the other motherfucker started barking and it wasn't backing down.
That's true, but he's set up to bite this nigga in 2 weeks on Zeus Network.
But what's so funny is, so I agree. Like I don't like watching the violent shit. But at the same time, I do understand that there are situations where shit can get to that point where it's like, oh, you talking and I'm talking. So what we gonna do? Oh, well, now the last thing to do is see who can be who's ass. And so my thing is, I think it's funny. Just to provide an opposing view to yours is like, well, you was talking and now let's put us in a situation where you really get to be all that you said you was about in this area, and let's see if you can really beat my ass.
Is that not the fight?
But
Is
I
that
think
not the fight?
but you can fight in an area where, first of all, you wasn't supposed to fight. Let's say I see you in a club and me and you get into it. Yeah, we might fight for a little bit, but people going to break that up because ultimately we wasn't supposed to be doing that. So now I'm going to provide you a platform where, yeah, you don't really like me? Well, let's see if you can really beat my ass like you was talking all that shit. Now we in an area where we have a designated amount of time for you to do exactly all that shit you was talking, and we really get to see if you about that life.
I'm actually for that.
So let's go.
And so that's what I think is ghetto
So
that they
let's
fought
go.
before.
Well, they always do that. That's ghetto shit.
They fought before. That's ghetto.
Well,
that,
my
mean,
thing
that
is-
happens like
well, I
that.
mean, it's like-
maybe I don't know the love
Well,
and hip
people
hop
be-
world.
Oh my God, Love and Hip Hop, that's all they, I don't even watch it. But back in the day when I used to, that's all they do, throwing drinks in niggas' face. Here's my thing. What I feel like civilization has done has gave motherfuckers a false sense of reality. You think you can throw drinks in people's faces? You think you can just do shit? Let me tell you something. You can't just do that to people. So now we're going to put you in an area where you with that very person that you just don't like so much, and we're going to see, beat their ass like you said you was. There's nothing stopping you. We're going to really see if you can really do that. And everybody's gonna know.
ghetto.
And everybody's gonna know. Well,
That's
but
ghetto.
it makes sense on a from a capitalist standpoint, where it's like, okay, do you really want to fight this person? Go ahead. We gonna see. Because now who is fighting now?
You would think. So do you think?
Who's
I think they're
fighting?
gonna get less. So it's Natalie and Tommy, and they also fought in that video.
Tommy from Love and Hip Hop?
Yes.
From what I think, Tommy gonna whoop that ass though.
But they already fought randomly now too. I think they might have lost money by randomly fighting, like by not controlling their keeping your mind to the goal, like we were just talking about, shutting the fuck up. By fighting now, people now have already like, oh, we already know gonna win it. Like,
But I think our culture has gotten us to the point where we
it's
are
ghetto.
I think our culture has gotten us to a point though where we are like, okay, you want to fight? Well, go fight for real then. Is this really about you
I'm
guys?
okay with that. I'm saying it's ghetto that they
Yeah.
fought before. They actually physically, she ran up on her and pulled her wig out and fought her in a random place.
But maybe us providing a platform will make them stop doing that. Because it's like, well, do you really want to fight her? Well, then go fight her. Because if you don't do it, everybody's going to be like,
But she had the
don't.
platform before, so the fight was scheduled before she ran up on her.
yeah, so maybe they just really don't like each other. I don't know. But now we going to really see, though, who going to whoop whose ass, though. Natalie Nunn.
I mean, but
I
Natalie's
don't
a
know.
big bitch, though.
and
She's
she,
no
she
small
got that
ass
sturdy
chick.
chin, too, that Jay Leno
I know
chin.
she could take some. Her wig got pulled out, but she could take some.
I met her one time. She came out to Denver. She was really nice, though.
Was she?
I don't know. Tommy, though, from what I've seen of Tommy in this call, I'll be editing. Tommy really seemed like she just, you know.
I'm Team Tommy,
Yeah,
but
Tommy seemed
Tommy,
like
I think
she'll
she
whoop
also
that ass.
disrespected Chris Brown's son. So now it's the whole thing too. She said something crazy or something. I don't know. I'll give you more
People
details
don't like
next
Tommy.
week. But
Tommy just kind of whatever. But we'll see.
I think Tommy is what the definition of raw energy. Like
Straight
no.
up. Tommy's straight up
Yeah.
like from the hood, like fuck everybody. Like
This is like when you
She
don't give
seems
me
like
a
that.
pathway, when you don't harness my mind. This is what you get.
and when you don't harness my mind, what responsibility do you have though? When you say you, who you talking about?
Your parents.
Okay, well
your
then
mama,
them.
your
Yeah.
daddy.
And we
your
met her
boyfriend,
mama.
your-
If you
yeah.
watch Love and Hip Hop,
You met
her
that's what I'm
mama
saying.
was
when you don't harness my mind.
This is what you get.
get.
This is what you get.
You get
Period.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
And that was a whole. Well, his daddy actually helped him. You saw from the show, his daddy
don't
helped
watch
him
that
mutilate the fucking roadkill and shit
I
like
don't watch
that.
that shit. That shit
But
was
yeah,
weird as
no,
fuck.
but we gotta. Oh, but okay, now
Tell me about the streets.
the streets be calling my name. Come on.
Calling
Okay,
my name.
no, Kimmy has to tell y'all before we out of here. Kimmy has to tell y'all part 2 of what happened with her situation when she, set herself up to go to the meeting to give her friend, support her friend for his speech and have her book and her gift and everything. So you have to tell everybody
So
what
I heard
happened.
y'all
Tell
heard
them
this
what
deep
happened.
ass sigh. So, Count Colorado, CC. There was a snowstorm before. And so I go, I'm from Atlanta. I barely drive in the snow. I woke up 3 hours early to take this drive.
Okay.
I drive and I go. I'm looking super cute, says the man beside me when I sit down. and he's not there. And so I am a bit late, 5 minutes. So I don't know. They do announce why he's not there, but I don't know.
They did?
That I get, yeah. But
You never found out?
I did not find out.
Fuck.
But so he's not there, and they he's on the program, so they replacing him. So he literally is supposed to be there, but it's not. I do drive with so much snowpacks in my car that I could barely see. So maybe that's it. My assumption, but so I go. I'm looking cute. So while I'm there, they're like, "Oh, you're a guest." I don't say I'm a guest while I'm there. Of course, he's not there. And so they end up inviting me. I do a speech. I do end up winning like the Table Talk Award.
Table Topic, she won. For anybody familiar with
he did not come.
Toastmasters.
And so a friend of mine was like, "Well, you never said you were coming. Maybe you should tell him." Someone else was like, "No, you just try to show up." But at the end of the day, I guess our story is not closed because I'm having this mixed feelings about he wasn't there, so he could not grasp the magnitude of what I did. But I did show up early morning, like snow on car. I know my energy is there. I kind of am still riding on the fact of where our energy was because it was so electric. But I don't know. Kimmy trying to figure it out now because I don't know.
But you reached out to him. Okay, so y'all remember Kimmy met this guy and it was electric and all that stuff, and it was like sporadic communication in between the time that they met.
It's electric.
And she remembered an event he was going to have, and so she showed up to support, but he wasn't there. Blah blah blah. You heard the story. She ended up participating. It was Toastmasters for you guys who are familiar with that.
Shout out to Toastmasters.
She ended up staying for the whole meeting and participating in Table Topics. She actually won Table Topics, which was great
because I'm pretty fine.
But you have to tell them too, like when you reached out to him and said to him,
he responded back immediately. But he
did
not reference me being
He
there.
didn't reference you being there.
I was like, "Hey, I just came and you weren't here. Guess who won?"
And I won Table Top, and you showed him your ribbon and you won. And he said, what did he say?
Good morning. Oh,
good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Oh, well, good morning. So I mean, we're gonna see how this thing goes, but it's interesting.
There's so many interpretations. I've heard like so many interpretations for so many people. My guy friends, my girlfriends, my gay friends. So I don't know. I know that I will not be saying anything else first. But
yeah.
Which
I think people would understand.
Yeah,
I think people would understand. Like, okay, you know what? I put myself out there. I let you know that I came to support. You weren't there.
But also, I wrote in this book, and I can't give it back to Amazon. So there's that.
But that's a great book. That's The Way of the Superior Man.
I've been had it and been read it. So
but you know what? It don't even matter because it is what it is. I mean,
it is. So.
What, baby, it'll be.
You got any streets numbers?
Streets is called.
You got any streets? Because what you been doing on? I'm over here. Listen, I'm pouring my whole out. Calling money.
You know what?
Where you been at?
Cookie got a Streets is Calling story for y'all next week. And I'm going to give y'all all the deets. And you might be like, what the fuck? But I just wanted to really give Kimmy her time to shine because this is a sequel. You know, when you have a sequel, Streets is Calling.
It is.
Situation.
So Kimmy's final thought is that it's niggas in New Orleans. Shout out to Texas.
And I ain't never been to New Orleans.
But
one day maybe
Kimmy
will take me, but I'm thinking about it. But anyways, no, we gotta go.
We gotta go. We gotta get out of here.
I love you. And we don't always agree. I feel you. But it don't matter. It's all good.
But it's so